Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Buddhikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Buddhikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotee. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Well, 16? It is 16. Okay. That's a little low now. A little higher, yeah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this first day of September 2021 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are still in chapter 14, entitled The Three Modes of Material Nature. Text 16 at the bottom of page 578. Karmanaha Sukatasyahu Satvikam Nirmalam Palam Rajasas Tupalam Dukkam Agyanam Tamasak Palam Karmanak Sukatasyahu Satvikam Nirmalam Palam Rajasas Tupalam Dukkam Ajnanam Tamasak Palam Karmanak Sukatasyahu Satvikam Nirmalam Palam Rajasas Tupalam Dukkam Ajnanam Tamasak Palam Karmanak Sukatasyahu Satvikam Nirmalam Palam Rajasas Tupalam Dukkam Ajnanam Tamasak Palam. Governor. Karmanak Sukatasyahu Satvikam nirmalam palam. Rajasastu palam dukkam. Ajnanam tamasak palam. Ishtadev. Karmanak sukatasyahu. Satvikam nirmalam palam. Rajasastu palam dukkam. Ajnanam tamasak palam. Go ahead. Karmanak sukatasyahu. Satvikam nirmalam palam. Rajasastu palam dukkam. Ajnanam tamasak palam. Kevin. Go ahead, Kevin. Karmanak sukatasyahu. Satvikam nirmalam palam. Rajasastu palam dukkam. Ajnanam tamasak palam. Bad. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Word by words. Karmana of work. Sukatasya. Pious. Ahu. Is said. Satvikam. In the mode of goodness. Nirmalam. Purified. Palam. The result. Rajasaha. Of the mode of passion. But palam. The result. Dukkam. Misery. Ajnanam. Nonsense. Tamasak. Of the mode of ignorance. Palam. The result. Translation. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Purport. The result of pious activities in the mode of goodness is pure. Therefore the sages, who are free from all illusion, are situated in happiness. But activities in the mode of passion are simply miserable. Any activity for material happiness is bound to be defeated. If, for example, one wants to have a skyscraper, so much human misery has to be undergone before a big skyscraper can be built. The financier has to take much trouble to earn a massive wealth, and those who are slaving to construct the building have to render physical toil. The miseries are there. Thus the Bhagavad Gita says that in any activity performed under the spell of the mode of passion, there is definitely great misery. There may be a little so-called mental happiness, I have this house or this money, but this is not actual happiness. Really? Is it okay? Keep going? Hey, ever fresh. As far as the mode of ignorance is concerned, the performer is without knowledge, and therefore all his activities result in present misery, and afterwards he will go on toward animal life. Animal life is always miserable, although under the spell of the illusory energy, Maya, the animals do not understand this. Slaughtering poor animals is also due to the mode of ignorance. The animal killers do not know that in the future the animal will have a body suitable to kill them. That is the law of nature. In human society, if one kills a man, he has to be hanged. That is the law of the state. Because of ignorance, people do not perceive that there is a complete state controlled by the Supreme Lord. Every living creature is a son of the Supreme Lord, and he does not tolerate even an ant being killed. One has to pay for it. So indulgence in animal killing for the taste of the tongue is the grossest kind of ignorance. A human being has no need to kill animals, because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of the cows is most vicious, because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance. In the Vedic literature, Rig Veda 9:46-4, the words Gobi Prinita Matsaram indicate that one who, being fully satisfied by milk, is desirous of killing the cow is in the grossest ignorance. There is also a prayer in the Vedic literature that states, Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hithaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Time out. You have a book? You have the place? Okay. You get the page 580. 580 at the top. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmins, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and world. Vishnu Purana 1:1965. The purport is that special mention is given in that prayer for the protection of the cows and the Brahmins. Brahmins are the symbol of spiritual education, and cows are the symbol of the most valuable food. These two living creatures, the Brahmins and the cows, must be given all protection. That is real advancement of civilization. In modern human society, spiritual knowledge is neglected and cow killing is encouraged. It is to be understood, then, that human society is advancing in the wrong direction and is clearing the path to its own condemnation. A civilization which guides the citizens to become animals in their next lives is certainly not a human civilization. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the motives of passion and ignorance. It is a very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save humanity from the greatest danger. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakya Chakshu Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, when we read purports like this, we're reminded of the statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam of words of the Shastra as meant to bring about a revolution in the society. Tad Bhagavasargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Patishlokam Abadnhavatyapi. This instruction by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, he's instructing him and inspiring him to write the Srimad Bhagavatam. He'd written all this other literature. He'd written the Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishads, he's written the Mahabharata with the Bhagavad Gita in it. And yet with all of this literature, he was dissatisfied. He's at the eve of Kali Yuga. And he felt, he didn't exactly know why, that whatever he had written wasn't going to be sufficient to guide the Kali Yuga away from this dangerous self-destructive path. And so he meditated, and his spiritual master Narada Muni came, and as is often the wont, W-O-N-T, I don't know if you know that word, famous word in days gone by, wont. It is a usual practice, is that what that means? He chastised his disciple in two verses. Now it's very interesting because here we are sitting reading the Bhagavad Gita, which is after all within the Mahabharata, and there are other places in the Mahabharata that are also quoted, very important verses. And yet the Mahabharata was not sufficient to satisfy Vyasadev's yearning for a book that would really be able to enlighten the people of Kali Yuga and save them. So he says first, Nayad vachas chitta bodang hare yasho, jagat pavitram pragunita karachit. That those words that you've written, which may be very nicely composed, Vyasadeva was also a very skilled writer in Sanskrit, but they neglect to glorify Lord Hari, Krishna, and his devotional service, alike unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Some of you may have heard this already. It's a famous statement. Meaning that they're useless. They're like garbage. Garbage heaps attract the crows. The swans are a bird of a different feather. They're not attracted to dirty places. They're like pure lakes and things and lotus flowers. So, if it's devoid of any glorification of the Lord, then it's like tadvayasam tiyutam ashanti manasa nayatra hangsa nidamanti shikshya. The swan-like devotees don't take their pleasure there, because they're always looking for the wonderful literature glorifying Krishna. On the other hand, Tad Bhagavasargo, a Bhagavasargo is simply a creation of words, in other words, a literary work. Janataga Viplavo. Now this is the phrase I wanted to bring out because it's expanded upon in this purport. those words which are meant to bring about a revolution in this world's misdirected civilization. Bhag Visargo, Janata Aga Viplava. Viplava is a revolution. Viplava means like capsizing the boat. A plava is a boat, and Viplava means the boat. The boat of a sinful society that's leading everyone to great suffering and hellish existence needs to be capsized. You need a revolution. So those words which glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and his devotional service, and all the different avatars, in other words, Srimad Bhagavatam, as it exists now, even if every verse were miscomposed, the quality of the writing is not the essential thing, it's the meaning. But if it glorifies Krishna, then it's heard, chanted, and relished by sages who know the value of things. And so this verse, Prabhupada took this verse as an inspiration to write his English translation of the Bhagavatam with the purports, which after great effort, just imagine, he's living in Vrindavan as a sannyasi. It means he has no money, and yet he needed to print these books in English because his spiritual master told him to preach in English and to go to the West, basically. So he worked so hard to write these first 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam, first canto. I have a set of those original volumes on my shelf. If you want to come over, you can worship them, bow down. And they're meant to bring about a revolution. Prabhupada knew that he would have to have a revolution in society, because in the Kali Yuga, everything is degrading. More and more people are getting controlled by the mode of passion and ignorance. We can see it all around us. What's going to be the countervailing force to that? Only the pure message of the Bhagavatam and the personification of the Bhagavatam. If just the books are there, that's not enough. There has to be someone who can say, yes, you can actually live this science and lead a pure life, sinless life, and be uplifted. Go back to Godhead at the end of this life. So Prabhupada is describing, taking this verse of the Bhagavad Gita as a jumping off point. The results of pious action. Work that's done in the mode of goodness is pious, and the result is pure. It doesn't degrade one, you know. But the problem with the mode of goodness, material mode of goodness, it's never pure. There's always tinges of the mode of passion and ignorance. And we see that all around us. People who are trying to live a pure life, it's so difficult. All of the impingement of the internet and all of the images and the sounds and the things. And what to speak of the air, the water, the food is being contaminated. There's so many toxins. Anyone who knows, even in our bodies, we're carrying these toxins, plastics everywhere. It's very hard to stay in the mode of goodness in this world. So there's a tremendous pull toward the lower modes. Therefore, any mode of passion results in misery. Now, how does that work? All right, mode of passion means I want to enjoy. You know, let me make a lot of money. I always think of the guys who come out of these top flight schools, MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and they're into making money. So they gravitate toward like Wall Street or something, and they're working. They're interns. They may not make any money right away, and then the first year they're making a pittance of $100,000 a year. They start at $100,000 a year, but they're looking to make $10 million a year. They want to become billionaires, you know. So it's such hard work. I mean, 80 hours a week, you know, and then suddenly there's a pandemic and the whole thing crashes, and you know what's going to happen, and anxiety. Can you imagine having your whole life invested in whether the chart is going up or down? And it's always going up or down somewhere in the world. It may be closed in New York, but it's open in Singapore. So you have to follow that. If you get up in the morning, first you turn on that computer, you leave it on all night. What happened to my investments? So your entire life is meditating on your money, your net worth, you see. Very degrading. So that itself is misery, and just results in more misery. So the mode of passion results in misery. And action performed in the mode of ignorance, it's miserable at the beginning, the middle, and the end. The mode of passion, you have some high points, you think you're enjoying, you know, but then it crashes eventually. And the mode of ignorance is miserable from beginning to end. So this is the world we live in. Daiva yesha gunamahi mama maya dorateya. Krishna says, 7th chapter. This divine energy of mind, composed of the 3 modes of nature, is impossible to cross over on your own. but one who surrenders unto me easily crosses beyond it. And that will come up at the end of this chapter. Arjuna, after all of this description, he asks, what are the characteristics of someone who's transcended the modes? What are the activities of someone who transcends the modes? And how does one transcend the modes? Because that's really what we're not, that's not our goal, but that's a way of seeing if we're making progress. If we're less and less moved by this enjoying spirit, the senses, we know it's bad, but it's not, but that's not why we're, eventually that's not why you're giving it up. You just don't want it anymore. You realize that this is degrading, and you're experiencing a higher taste, a higher pleasure. All the way back to chapter 2, text 59. We have our books. Maybe we can access it. It's very pertinent here. I'll give you the page number in a second. 259, 120, on page 125. I'll say, you say. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam masopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Although the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this is right in our wheelhouse, right? Because even the word rasa is here. We're trying to taste rasa, real transcendental rasa, relation with Krishna. So the Vishayas, I always point out, it's such a wonderful language. Vishaya and Visha. Do you see the similarity? Visha means poison. Vishaya is sense gratification. This philosophy is built into the language. So Vishaya vinivartante, one can refrain himself from the objects of the senses by force, by will. This is bad for me. I'm giving it up. I'm not going to drink anymore. So you go to AA and you hang out with friends who have given it up, to get the moral strength and so forth. And you may give it up. But you know that as you walk by that bar, danger signals go off. If I have a moment of weakness, let me just go in and see what it's like. Oh boy, and then the mood, and then before you know it, you're just having one drink and you fell off the wagon, we say. And that's true for any addiction. It can be true for gambling, it can be true for video games, it can be true for anything. Because it's a pleasure center in the brain that's stimulated by this. So we can give it up, but the taste remains. The taste remains. The desire for it is deep in the heart still. But if you experience a higher taste, param drishtva. Param here stands for Krishna. Param is the superior things, the supreme. If you see, the eyes stand in for all the senses. If you experience the higher taste by contacting Krishna, and there is undoubtedly a taste there, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting here. Nivartate, one can remain detached, and eventually completely lose the desire, because it's a malleable thing. You're born into a certain family due to your karma. You may have been American in this life, and then you're Chinese in the next life. So you don't have an inbuilt taste for Chinese food, but that's what they're feeding you. So before long, that's what you eat, and you have a taste for it. In other words, it changes according to your experiences. So using our intelligence, hearing from the higher source, we understand, getting a taste for Krishna, things related to Bhakti Yoga, this is our best bet. This is our best investment, not the stock market, but in our eternal life. And so that's what we're all about. That's what it's all about. And understanding how the modes work. Prabhupada always talked about the spell of the modes of nature. In other words, when the mind, see these modes of nature, they work on the mind. And you have a certain pattern of thinking and feeling and willing. And that establishes what mode you're in. You're in the mode of ignorance yesterday, and the day before, you'll probably be in the mode of ignorance today, unless you make a big effort to get out of it. But the only way you can combat the modes is through your intelligence. If you hear the right knowledge, and you understand the dangers of living this life, this is so important. Because danger is something that really motivates people to avoid. But if you don't know the danger, then it can't help you. So that's why constantly reiterated in the verses and the purports here of all of our books, the dangers of just letting the senses control you, letting the lower self control the higher self. And we can see, even at preliminary stage, how what a relief it is not to be controlled by these lower urges, by these animalistic urges. Otherwise, you're leading a life of an animal, which is very dangerous and results in a lot of misery. So here, Srila Prabhupada lays it all out, and he brings it home, as he often does, to a worldwide, perspective. Society as a whole, when it's predominantly controlled by the modes of passion and ignorance, which is what Kali Yuga is all about, creates mass misery and great danger for society. And we can see it around us. You can trace all the problems. Climate change, you have like how many billions of cars in this world? The society is not meant, the environment is not meant to absorb all that carbon monoxide, dioxide that's being emitted, that's causing this warming, causing this heating. It's going on all over the place, except in San Diego. I don't know, the weather here is ideal, but I'm just kidding. It'll happen here. And of course you can't avoid it. It's happening everywhere. So it all boils down to this very simple root. Uncontrolled greed and desire to maximize sense pleasure, domination, the shriveling of the heart where there's no empathy anymore. You're willing to drone people and you're willing to kill and wipe out all these people so you can harvest the trees in the Amazon forest. The Amazon forest jungle was for hundreds and thousands of years a huge absorber of carbon dioxide. All those trees, now they've been cutting. Now it's giving out carbon dioxide. I mean, I remember in 5th grade, the Amazon was like the lungs of the world, right? Something like that. So much oxygen is coming from those trees. No, it'll kill it, chop it down and feed the cows, slaughter the cows, sell them to Americans, chop down a few hundred more acres. It's just such short-sighted. The more that, like animal life means the immediate, what's going on. What do I want now? What do I need? What's the danger now? Go here, like that. The ability to see ahead and see the long view is not there in animals. So to get out of that, we're taught, what's going to happen in your next life. Have you considered that? No one dies, Everybody dies, nobody dies. Maybe you know that little poem. Like, every body dies. Every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That one's not going out of style. It's true now, it'll be true in 5,000 years. But that's so much of the preaching is, you're going to die. But don't worry, you won't die. The idea is the body dies. So if your whole focus is on the body, gross and subtle, I'll tell this story. It used to be like every couple of days we'd hear this when I first joined. You're putting your money in the wrong bank account. You probably don't know that story. So a young man, he gets out of college and he's got his first job and he starts depositing some money in the bank. And he's very frugal. And he, every week, a little more, a little less, he's putting money. So eventually he gets old, and he wants to retire, and he's counted up. Oh, I've got thousands and thousands in the bank, so I want to withdraw the money and go buy a piece of land in Florida or something. So he goes to the bank, and he says, "Okay, I want to close the account. Here's my name. Here's the number." All he says, "There's nothing in that account." "What do you mean? I've been depositing money there for 50 years. No. You see, you put the number is wrong. You copied it wrong to begin with, and you've been misdepositing all these years. So that account belongs to Mr. Jones. You're Mr. Smith." Oh, so he faints there. He gets a heart attack. The point is, we're investing in something that's sure to bring bankruptcy. Everything related to this body. Whether it's name, fame, family, expansion, money, it's all destined to... Mrityu sarvaharas chaham. A very important line, 10th chapter. Krishna says, I'm this. I'm the bodies of water, I'm the ocean, of the aquatics, I'm the shark, of devotees I'm Prahlad, of warriors I'm Arjun, he's speaking of Arjun, and of things that take away I'm death. As death, I take everything away from everyone. Who can deny it? All those bank accounts are in your name, but the name belongs to the body. You're going somewhere else. You see? The money will be enjoyed by someone else, Prabhupada says. So it's a lot of hard labor for ultimate defeat. That's what material life is. So we have to be very sober-minded about that. So then what should I invest my energy in? We have to invest in our eternal life, in rediscovering our relationship with Krishna. And it means a whole overhaul of everything we do. From diet, Prabhupada emphasizes that, to all the other things that keep us pure and allow the power of Krishna consciousness to work, which is purification of chanting the holy name, association, service, and all these different things. So the Krishna consciousness automatically, we don't have to think, oh, how am I going to get out of the modes of nature? No, you practice Krishna consciousness, you chant the holy name, you mold your life in such a way that you more and more remember Krishna, you're serving Krishna, then you're automatically rising up out of the modes of passion and ignorance, the mode of goodness and ultimately pure goodness. Now the mode of pure goodness is called the Vasudeva state. Who can say why? Any speculations? Remember? Vasudeva, this is the importance of being careful about the long and short A, because Krishna's name is Vasudeva. In Sanskrit, the descendants of someone, often you'll lengthen the A. Dhritarashtra, there's a complicated name, Dhritarashtra. He's the king who's the father of all those Kurus, headed by Duryodhana, who's trying to usurp the throne. So their sons are known as Dhartarashtras. The sons of Pandu are known as Pandavas. You see how it works? The son of Vasudeva is known as Vasudeva. So Vasudeva state means the state in which Vasudeva appears, Krishna appears. So it's given his name because Vasudeva is the titular father of Krishna, like that. So
Hare
this
Krishna,
is
Prabhu.
okay. 1 second.
Okay.
Prabhupada emphasizes how important it is to protect the cows, the animals in society. We don't want to do anything in our life that is simply based solely on our desire for sense pleasure, and that we know from meeting the Bhagavad Gita that there's a tremendous cost to it. It's really a manifestation of the mode of ignorance to eat meat, especially cows. Just think, I remember, when I was a kid, I was a sensitive boy, and I didn't want to eat any chicken because you could see that there was a bird there. The carver said, no, this is a poor bird. But I didn't see that with the steak and the hamburgers. It's all hidden. So that I could, and eventually, of course, I got used to eating the chicken too as a custom. But really, that's a proper reflex. This steak used to be a flank of a living being, and he was tortured and horribly killed so that I could eat this little meat. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary to eat. I've been a vegetarian 2 or 3 years longer than I was a devotee, since 1970, so that's 52 years. And hey, I'm doing all right, I'm the same weight I was when I was 15 years old now, because I've been eating smoothies and salads and things like that. But you can live perfectly healthy, much more healthy, really. The American common diet is disastrous. Obesity is an epidemic, and diabetes, like one in 10 people have diabetes in America, including children, is growing because of the diet and the sedentary lifestyle and all this stuff. So Krishna consciousness is healthy life, and it doesn't weigh down your heart with all of this murder. We have to think of the ramifications of our activity. Gobi Pritina Matsaram. Loving mothers. Prinita Matsaram means loving. The cows are like loving mothers, and we're killing them. Okay, any comments, Dhanavari? You're up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. My question is, when you mention, or it says in the sloka that when animals some, like it says, when you kill animal, and then you'll be animal next life, and they will kill you.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think that if somebody's killing animal, and maybe is it karma, they were other way around, and that's why they are getting killed.
Who hasn't seen the cowman picture by now? It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Do you ever show it when you're distributing? You know, there's a man with a cow's head killing a cow with a man's head. It's in the Gita. It's right there. Yeah, they're very famous. That's that's meant to like shock people into understanding that this is the price you pay. You know.
So my question is, Prabhu, is that so should we think that because someone is animals being killed because of whatever they did, something in last life or something, is that
there's a chain. There's a chain like that of karma, but that doesn't mean that we're not free of it. In other words, I may be fulfilling someone's bad karma by killing them, but that doesn't reduce my karma for doing it, because we're human beings. In the animal kingdom, it's going on all the time, right? The one animal is killing another, and another animal is killing that first animal, and it's a holocaust, But it's nature. There's no karma there because they're acting by instinct. There's no normative or morality for them. But because we have the higher intelligence, we have the responsibility to know the laws of nature and the laws of God. Prabhupada always gave this example. You come to a new country and you violate the laws. Traditionally, you drive on the wrong side of the street, which can be very dangerous. Prabhupada was in an accident in Mauritius, almost killed by somebody who just arrived. He was driving on the wrong side of the street, and they had a head-on accident. Luckily, they weren't going too fast, so Prabhupada was slightly injured. But you have a responsibility, especially as a human being, to understand the laws of the place that you're in. Well, we're in the material world, and the laws are the Vedas. But if we don't take the trouble to learn them, then we're flying blind, and we're just like these dumb animals that just do what they want, and then suffer the consequences. So yes, the animal being killed could very well be someone who killed an animal in his last life. But we want to get out of that cycle of killing and revenge. And that means, no, we're not going to be participating in this, slaughter anymore. We resign. Just like I don't know if they're listening out there, the NSA and so forth. But one of the one of the benefits of being within the movement and being brahmachari is that you don't pay any taxes. Because when you pay taxes, that money goes, it may go to maintaining the highway, but it also may go to be building a drone that then drops in and kills so many children. That's part of your karma. So the less you can be entangled in the craziness of this world, the better you'll be. But therefore, we have to be part of the revolution and reforming it. Then we can be freed. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Vijay Krishna, you're there.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
May I?
Please.
Dravida Prabhu, my humble obeisances. Thank you for your wonderful class. Prabhu, the quote from the purport is as follows.
Okay.
Quote, there may be a little so-called mental happiness. Quote, I have this house or this money. End quote. But this is not actual happiness. End quote. So, Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada used to say that we have the natural tendency to love, but our problem is that we are not depositing our love in the right place, in Krishna.
Right.
And that is the reason why we are always frustrated. So, but in relation to this quote, having a house and having money, people go for houses and money because these things can be seen, can be touched, are related to what I call palpable happiness.
What kind of happiness?
happiness that can be seen and touched.
Yeah.
But you can see a house and touch a house. You can see the money. You can
Yeah.
touch the money.
Okay.
But I think that people do not go for investing in God because God is invisible. And one aspect is that Srila Prabhupada also was there reassuring us that if we go for investing in God, then God will take care of us in the material world. He will give us a house, He will give us money, enough for us to go on worshipping Him. But people do not go for investing in this kind of happiness because it's too subtle. We cannot see God, and we have to have faith. So my question is it that we to condemn people who go for houses and money? Isn't that it is a kind of condemnation that is a little unjust?
Okay. It's not that we condemn them. We try to help them to see the folly of putting their hope in material happiness and material things. Ultimately, I mean, clearly, it's all doomed because your connection to the house, your connection to the money is ultimately broken. Either you lose it before you die, or you lose it when you die. You're going to lose it. So, the idea that yes, it's difficult to for people to become and to have faith in God because He's invisible. You're absolutely right. That's why He comes down personally. That's why He inspires His great devotees to establish temples where people can see and serve God. The whole idea, we just had Janmashtami. So many people came and they saw the beautiful deity. And you could hear, the sound is also there, glorifying God. And if you take the trouble with a little bit of faith to chant Hare Krishna and hear the holy name, you'd feel transformed. It's subtle. By the power of the sound, you can feel the presence of God. And so, and prasadam is a very important part of it. You know? Okay, I came this week because last week you had a very nice feast. Your philosophy may be very nice. People are nice, but really, where's the prasadam? When is the prasadam? I mean, that's why I came back. That and the angelic devotees, the ladies. I mean, I got to admit, that was part of my. Not that it wasn't lecherous or anything like that. It was just the atmosphere, and it was very refined. So, in other words, somehow or other, the idea is that Krishna reaches out to us in this world. What does He say in the fourth chapter? Yadaya daya dhamasa glana, where the discrepancies in dharma, which is absolute necessity for human society. Otherwise, it's sure and certain people are going to sink down to the animal platform. And what is dharma? Canto 1, chapter 2, text 6. Dharma is that which engenders pure devotion to Krishna. And another important statement is in the 6th canto, I believe. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is the words that are enunciated by God. In other words, the instructions of God. Well, where are those words? Right here in Bhagavad Gita. Right here in Srimad Bhagavatam. But most importantly, and this we were discussing this morning, there needs to be a person who embodies this lifestyle so that it becomes real. Otherwise, it can be all theoretical. Yeah, it sounds very good, but it's impossible. It's not impossible. Here's an example. And so Srila Prabhupada gave his presence, he gave his instruction, he gave his mercy, and he gave the method by which we could also feel it. Harinam Sankirtan. So Krishna becomes tangible, beginning with the sound and beginning with the presence of a pure devotee. I quoted this verse this morning, and I'll quote it tonight. Right in the Bhagavatam. 3 times it appears. It's important. Tulayama lavenapi naswagam no punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashishaha. Tulayami means equal to. A moment's association. Lava is like it's a fraction of a second. Of what? Of Bhagavat Sangi. Sangha is association. Sangi is the person associating with Bhagavan, an associate of God, someone who's feeling God's presence and seeing God in his heart at every moment. He's a Bhagavat Sangi. A moment association with such a person is more valuable than things that normally people think about, beginning with going to heaven, living in heaven. Swargam, Upanar Bhavam. Upanar means not coming back, liberation. People who are smart, they don't aspire for going to heaven, because you're definitely going to come back down here to Martyaloka, right there in the 9th chapter. But not coming back, that's pretty good. We'll merge into Brahman and we'll be free of this birth and death. You can't compare it. It's not. It's insignificant compared to a Bhagavat Sangi Sangha, association with an associate of God. What to speak of? So-called the benefits of material money and wealth and high education and all that, physical beauty, can't compare at all. Now, why is that? Because by that association, even for a moment, you can get the seed of the creeper of devotion can be planted. If you're receptive, if the person attracts you, you want to know how are they living? How did they become so pure and blissful? What about the words they wrote? Let me investigate. So, and I pointed out how that Sangha with Srila Prabhupada, who is certainly a Bhagavat Sangi, can be had through his books, through his books. That's the way he wanted us to associate with him, even more than personally, Bapu, because he put his whole heart in here. My emotional ecstasies. Did we think of devotional ecstasies? I think we thought devotional. Emotional ecstasies are in its purports. You have a question. But don't say a word till we give you the mic. Because there's an audience. I'm sorry, I didn't finish answering your question.
Yes, wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Haribol. Go ahead, Mataji. Is it on? Okay, just speak right into it.
I'll try to be quick. Could you please explain to us, can a pure devotee accept money, gifts, or any kind of material stuff from a person who is in a total ignorance or passion mode? Like, I had personally where I get very tense, like where I feel like I should not accept a gift or money from this person, but it's rude not to do it. And if there's any karma involved, like if somebody's in pure ignorance giving you money and you feel like it's coming with not pure intentions, what's the best way?
It becomes completely purified if you use that money for Krishna. Now, if your whole life is dedicated for devotional service, then you can accept gifts from anyone and use it for your maintenance and so forth, and anything over that you can donate to the temple. It becomes completely purified no matter where it comes from.
But you see, like for of course, if you live in a temple and people come and donate to the temple, it's not a personal karma. Yeah. But I'm talking about for people that don't live in a temple yet, and we're still trying to be pure, but there are a lot of people in ignorance, and some people try to use it as a control, part of the ego, where they give you something and then they tell the whole world that they gave you this, so that you don't even want that anymore, but you just don't know what's the best thing to do. Like, it's a gift, but how not to, when it comes with some kind of like greed and other, like...
Yeah, you have to try to avoid such people.
How, would you give me a best example?
Spend your day here, sweep the you can begin, doing menial service, and we'll definitely give you prasadam, and from wherever you're living,
would you tell the person who's in a total ignorance, how do you not to, say no thank you, and you walk away, but you can't?
I'm not. Yeah, I'd have to know more details, but it's very dangerous to live separate from devotees. That's why Prabhupada established all these communities, and we understand. Unfortunately, we don't have a ladies' ashram here, where we say, "Oh yes, take shelter," but we don't. It's not possible at this point. But sometimes you have to say no, because you realize that if you say yes, then you're continuing someone's misunderstanding of a relationship. You're trying to be a devotee, You know, you're trying to purify your life, and someone is doing something that's trying to drag you into a material side. So you need to stop that. This is I was just reading the teachings of Kapila Dev, that when you're trying to advance in devotional service, sometimes it's painful because you have to cut off certain relationships, even with family members who are dragging you down, who see you in a material way. They have so many misconceptions. And because you're not relating to them on that level anymore, they feel offended, they feel threatened, and so many different things. It's not easy because we don't grow up in isolation. We have a web of relationships. But those relationships often are the medium by which these modes of nature are controlling us. So therefore, we have to see the devotees as our real family. This is our ultimate family. And you see, we want to be welcomed back in the spiritual world, and it's a big family there. So that's the reality. And therefore, sometimes it's hard to cut off these, these influences. But we should try to do that. Okay.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much. Hare Krishna.
Well, okay, it's almost time to end. So we had a couple of days off this week, so we'll resume next Monday, and we'll definitely resume with text 17, right? Okay. And we have just enough time for one little poem. And this is always a favorite of mine. Some of you may have heard it, many of you heard it, some of you haven't. Kama dinang katina katita palita durni deshas. Tesham jata maina karuna natrapa no prashantihi. Utsrid jayata natayatupate sampratam labdha buddhis. Tvamayatak shadanam abhayam mam niyung svatma dasye. In how many ways have I sought to obey the seductive demands of my wicked desires? They've shown me no mercy. Yet on I've gone, shamelessly trying to quench lust's unquenchable fires. But now I'm rejecting these hellish desires, for my higher intelligence now has awoken. O Krishna, O shelter of fearlessness, please let me serve you with faith that will never be broken. Very, very important verse. Because it's the intelligence, my intelligence has awoken, and now I know that after many lifetimes of serving these desires, which just keep me bound up here, cause me pain, I'm giving up that service, but I can't remain without service. I have to serve. So now he's approaching Krishna. Now please engage me in your service, which is all auspicious at all times. So that's a key phrase.
What chapter?
Hello?
Very nice. What chapter, Prabhu, this sloka kamadi?
Okay, it's quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. I'm guessing chapter 20. It could be 20 or 21. I'll give you the exact. Write to me an email. I'll give the exact reference. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Dravida Prabhu, if I send you an email, can you send me the PDF related to the Vyasa Puja offerings?
Yes, of course. Yes. Send me an email. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
By the way, wonderful Vyasa Puja festival. Thank you very much.
Haribo, Haribo.
Haribo.
Glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.